but this section is going to be redundant. So yeah, the main goal is just to have fun. This is probably one of my favorite yarn in stash. I haven't made a blue sweater since, so it's just hanging around there. 1.5 kilo, so it's 10% of my stash, and I have no idea what to do with it. Hi, my name is Maya, and welcome to my YouTube channel where I share all my thoughts, process and other random stuff about all things fiber related, but mostly knitting. Today is the first video of a new series I'm starting for 2026, hopefully the whole year of 2026, and it is a stashing down challenge where I'm gonna try to film each month a video to take you through my adventures to get my stash under a certain goal. So I hope you are as excited as I am about this, and today I am gonna make the least exciting video of them all, I think, or maybe the most exciting, depends. And I'm just gonna have like an overview of the current situation, what my stash looks like and what my goals are, how I'm gonna reach that goal, and I'm also gonna show you my stash, the current situation. I'm not gonna show every single yarn in there because I'm not a yarn shop and I don't think that's interesting, but I am gonna show you like how I store it, how I divide it, how I sorted it, and yeah, hopefully it's gonna be interesting. And I wanted to do this stashing down challenge because my ultimate goal and what I would like to come back to, because at the very beginning of my knitting journey, that's how I was managing my stash, or rather my absence of stash, because it was the beginning. My absolute dream would be that whenever I'm ready to start a project, or whether when I know I'm going to start a project, I'm not finished completely with the one before that, but I'm soon going to be, I can start to look out for yarn for this new project, and then I can go out, either buy it in person in a yarn shop, or order it online, and then start knitting with the yarn immediately as I get it. And it's awesome. It was like that at the beginning, and it was the best. Because I just don't like this feeling of like wanting to knit something new and wanting a new yarn with it, but I have to think about what I have already, and then I spend hours and days and weeks being like, I could use this for my stash, but this is not perfect, so maybe I should modify the project I want to do so that it's perfect for the yarn in stash, but maybe there is a better use for this yarn in stash, and then I'm sure you know the feeling. So I just want to get the stash down. The situation is not completely out of control. Right now I have like a year and a half worth of knitting in terms of total weight. So it's definitely not the stash beyond life expectancy that some people talk about. I'm absolutely not there. But still, it's too much for me. It's stressing me out, and yeah, I just want to do something about it. So 2026 will be the year I seriously do something about it, because I tried to do something about it last year, but I wasn't really serious. And I did a little bit. It did go down, in a way, and then it went up. But yeah, I'm gonna try to be serious this year, and hopefully you will enjoy following me in this challenge throughout the whole year. So, first, let's talk about the current situation in details. To keep track of my stash, I used to use an app on my phone which is called Knit and Note, and I've been using it for years, but it wasn't really working well already at the beginning. It's a paid for app, and it was pretty expensive. But at the beginning, like, it was the beginning, it was not very stable, it kept on crashing, but I was like, it's fine, it's the beginning, it's gonna get better and better over time. They're gonna add features that are gonna make it easier to use. And for a while, it kept on getting better and better. It was crashing less, it was easier to use, and they were adding useful new features. But then at some point, they started adding stuff that's completely useless, like a whole social media vibe and things so that you can share with people or whatever. And I'm like, it's not a social media. I just use it as an app to keep track of my stash and my projects. I don't want to share anything for that. Yeah, and you cannot disable those things, and I think it just made the whole app even more unstable, and then it kept on crashing again, and it does this random thing where it refreshes a page whenever you're working on it. So for example, if you're like updating the notes on a project, randomly after like 1 minute, the page refreshes and you lose all your notes. And it happens all the time, and it pisses me off, and yeah, and it does that for everything. Even when you're updating your stash and you're adding in a new yarn, you're halfway through the process and then it refreshes and you lose everything. So yeah, I finally decided that this app is a lost cause. I really don't recommend it anymore. I used to in the past, but now it's like, yeah, don't bother. It sucks. So I decided to go with a different strategy. So I have set up my own Excel sheet. I did it on Google Sheet. And I can show you, I took a little screenshot so I can show you what it looks like. And I'm gonna put it up on my phone so that I can see what I'm talking about because I don't know it by heart. So it's a very simple Excel sheet. It's just a table and I just have the yarns I own listed into it. And they are sorted by alphabetical name of the brand of the yarn. So in the first column I have the brand, then I have the name of that specific yarn, then I have the colorway name, and then I have the total weight that I own in my stash. So for example, I think the first line I put on the screen capture is Pearl Soho, Linen Quill Worsted, in the colorway Kettle Black, and I have one skein and a little bit of leftover, so that puts me to 117 grams. And then I have the meters per 100 grams, and this is always meter per 100 grams, even if, for example, I have this thing here that comes in 50 grams. So the meterage is 80 grams per 50 grams. So in my table, sheet, whatever, I would put 160 meters per 100 grams. And then I always have the same formula to go from total weight I own with the meterage per 100 grams to give me the total meters I have. Because if sometimes I had meterage per 50 grams, I would need a different formula to calculate, and then I would need different formulas for different lines, and that would be confusing. So I just made everything with meterage per 100 grams, and then it's super easy for me to keep track of the total length I own. I hope this made sense. If it didn't, it's really not important. And then I have the fiber content and the year I acquired the yarn in. This is not 100% correct. I mean, if it's 2025 or 2024, it's fine, but then between 2023 to 10 or 19, sometimes it's a little bit messed up, but whatever. I have a rough idea of how old this yarn is, and that's what I want. And then this gets a little bit specific. I have a column with swatch question mark. And this is because I have a box full of swatches, and there are a lot of swatches in there, and I don't remember everything I have. But sometimes when I use a leftover yarn to make a project, and I run out of yarn, I don't always remember to go and look out in the box of swatches if I happen to have a swatch in this specific yarn. So that way I can just look into the list, and if I have a swatch in this yarn, it's written yes, and then I know I can just go into that box and search for the swatch. But the box is not super accessible, so if I don't do that, I'm just going to forget. And for example, I have knit up a pair of socks, and they were too short in the end. And the other day I went through my box of swatches, and I had a swatch in this yarn, so I could have made the socks the correct length. So yeah, this is why I have this column. And then I have a column for project plans. So if I have an idea for what to do with this yarn, I can put here what I'm going to do with this yarn. So for example, fix ranunculus, because I have a ranunculus sweater and the sleeves are a bit too short, so I bought an extra yarn to lengthen the sleeves. So I just wrote it there. I'm not going to forget, but I just like to have it tracked somewhere. And then in the notes, I don't have any notes for what I have in the screenshot, but for example, I'm going to write how much yarn there is in the swatch, or if the yarn was gifted, or what do I have? If the yarn comes from something I need to unravel, because sometimes I have stuff in my box of yarn that's a finished garment that I need to unravel, so I wrote also there in what state it is, and yeah, stuff like that. So that's how I keep track of what I own, and for now it's working great, but also it's the beginning and it's been 3 weeks, so it has really been a long time, but yeah. If you're interested in the file, you can just ask and I'm going to put it in the description box, but I'm not sure it's going to be super interesting, so yeah, just ask if you want it. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about now what I have in terms of big numbers and what my goal is, but this section is going to be wow, redundant with my winter plans video, because I did talk about my stashing down goal in this video. So if you have already watched that, I suggest you skip to the next section, because I'm just going to be repeating myself. So yeah, you can skip if you're not interested to see that a second time. So the current situation is that in total in my stash I have 15,131 grams, which is 15 kilos and 131 grams. So those 15 kilos include the yarn I own, which is right here in front of me, and I'm going to show you afterwards, but it also includes yarn I do not own yet. And I am 100% sure I'm going to buy sooner rather than later, which means in less than a couple of months. I did that because I'm just trying to trick my brain into feeling like my stash goes down faster, because otherwise I would have a few months at the beginning of the year where it would have been going up, and that would have felt a bit disheartening. So for example, I have a blanket project that's going to be in half in main color and half in contrast color, and I already have the contrast colors, but I needed to buy a lot of main color, which is basically the same weight as the contrast color I already own. So that would mean buying a lot of yarn. So I was like, I'm just going to count the yarn already in stash. That way, whenever I use it up, even if I don't have it yet, it's just going to go down. Girls' math. It works for me, okay? And those 15 kilos also include, as I mentioned just before, finished things that I don't wear because they don't fit. And I've been wanting to unravel them since forever, to reuse the yarn for something better. But one of the reasons that kept me from doing it is because if I unravel them, the yarn is going to go into stash. So my stash is going to go up, despite me trying to give a second life to precious yarn. And that feels like double punishment. So I decided to already weigh those guys, this, and then 2 hats, and then a sweater, and still other stuff, so that if I find the courage to unravel them and knit them into something better, the stash will go down. So it's encouraging as well to me. So in total, I have those virtual 15 kilos of yarn, which may sound like a lot, but as I mentioned earlier, it's a year and a half of knitting for me, because in 2024 and 2025, and also the years before that, but I cannot be 100% sure because I wasn't keeping track as precisely as I am the past couple of years, I have knit 10 kilos of yarn. I mean, I have knit and destashed 10 kilos of yarn in a whole year. So if my stash is 15 kilos, that's a year and a half. But it's not exactly 15 kilos because I'm going to buy yarn that I don't have yet. But whatever, you get the idea. So yeah, it's not too much either. However, a good chunk of those 15 kilos are weird stuff that I'm not sure I'm even going to use one day. So things I should destash, but it's weird quantities and it's weird yarns, and I'm not sure anyone is going to want that. But when I show you my yarn at the end of the video, I am going to show you some yarns that are up for destashing, and if you're interested, hit me up in an email, but yeah, we'll talk about that later. All of that to say, my stash is 15 kilos, but there is not 15 kilos of usable yarns for what I usually do, which are garments, t-shirts, socks, or stuff like that. There's a lot of yarn that I don't know. And I also just wanted to mention 2 things. The first one is that I am feeling overwhelmed by my stash of 15 kilos, but if your stash is beyond that and you are not feeling overwhelmed, or it's not stressing you out, or you feel perfectly content or whatever, good for you. We are not equal with clutter, I would say, and to me this feels like clutter. It takes too much space, and my flat is small, and my brain space is even smaller, so I just need less. And also, as I said at the beginning, I want the joy of having a new project, buying the yarn for the new project, casting on the yarn for the new project. I want this feeling back because I love it. And that's just my own way of dealing with my stash. But it's personal, and you do you. Okay, so what are my goals for 2026? I would like to get my stash under 10 kilos. So that's a net negative of 5 kilos. So hopefully, if I don't buy too much yarn, it should be perfectly doable, since I'm supposed to knit and destash 10 kilos in a year. And I did some very, very rough calculations, and I need, like absolutely need, because I have project planned and I know exactly what I'm going to do and I just need to buy the yarn. So I need to buy 2 extra kilos of yarn without counting the yarn I have already counted in, but I haven't bought yet. That's separate. So in like absolute minimum, if I only buy the yarn I'm 100% sure of what I'm going to do with, because I know exactly what the project is going to be, I'm going to buy 2 kilos of yarn this year. Which is not a lot, considering usually I buy more like 10 kilos or even 20 kilos of yarn in a year. So we will see. This is where it's going to be difficult. I'm not too worried about the amount of yarn I'm going to need up and destash. I'm more worried about what I'm going to get in. So this is where it's going to be difficult. However, I am not going to do a no-buy challenge for the year because, as I mentioned, there is some things I need to buy. So I cannot do like a no-buy because it's impossible. I mean, impossible. And I also don't want to, because for me and my type of personality, all of that, doing a no-buy would be absolute 100% for sure setting myself up for failure, because yeah, I would be frustrated and then one day I would just explode and buy all the yarn. I know myself. So I'm not going to do that. So I am going to allow myself to buy yarn if I want to, but I will do my best to not buy yarn for a project that's for more than 6 months in the future. I'm saying this specifically for like yarn festivals, because that's when I tend to buy yarn thinking like, oh, that's going to be for next summer, and that's like in more than a year. Yeah, for sure, it's nice to have the yarn already, and I'm not sure this person is going to be back at the festival next year or whatever. So I am saving up on shipping costs and all of that, but it's a bit dumb, because then it piles up, and then I cannot cast on because something else pops up, and then the yarn just sits in my stash, and then it's frustrating me and it's stressing me out. So yeah, so that's my main strategy. I'm gonna try to be disciplined and not buy yarn for too long in the future. That's kind of the only strategy I have because other than that, I'm just gonna knit as usual and just cast on as usual, because I wasn't particularly trying hard to knit to achieve this 10 kilo of yarn out the last 2 years. I mean, I was trying to use more bulky yarns or stuff like that towards the end of the year, but that's kind of it. And the stash still went down. So that's not something I need to be too hard on myself about. It's just going to happen on its own. So yeah, my only strategy is just to try to buy more for in the now, I would say. Now, that being said, it is still a pretty optimistic goal to have a net negative of 5 kilos. I mean, I know it's a lot. Some people don't even need like 2-3 kilos in a year, and that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly normal. I knit a lot because I only knit in my life. I mean, I climb and I knit, and that's all. I don't go out and see friends. I don't do activities. I don't have children. I don't cook. I do nothing. So this may sound like a big goal for a lot of you, but for me, I think it's achievable. However, I am very aware that I don't think in the whole history of people doing stash challenges, anyone has ever met their goal. I mean, not that I have witnessed. Maybe some people have, but I have never personally seen it. And it's okay, because I think the main goal with this, it's of course to get my stash done, but it's also that I find it entertaining, and I think it's also going to be entertaining to you if you watch this video. So yeah, the main goal is just to have fun and have fun with numbers and math and satisfaction and meeting goals or not, and yeah, keeping track of stuff and having a list, and yeah, it's just things that I find enjoyable, and that's the most important thing. So even if at the end of the year I don't reach my goal, it's fine, because I'm gonna have fun and that's what matters. I did forget to say something before, because I said I wanted to say 2 things and I only said one of the things. So the second thing I wanted to say is that with the way I'm going to count the yarn out. So if I destash, it's easy. I count how much yarn I have sent away. But for my own projects that I knit, I only count the yarn out once the project is finished, blocked, tried on, 100% finished. And I know exactly how much yarn I have left, so that I can weigh the leftover and know exactly how much yarn I have used in the project or in the swatch, and count that out, because I use the leftovers in other projects. I never throw it away. I usually don't give it away either. I keep it and I do stuff with it. Which is why I have a whole box of leftovers that I'm going to show you. But yeah, this is how I count. I know some people count the yarn out when they cast on the project, but that's not my logic. So yeah, just wanted to note that so that you know how I count my yarn. Which means for the monthly videos that I'm going to do, so I'm going to film them at the beginning of the next month. So for example, the video for January, I'm going to film the video at the beginning of February and take you through what I have knit in the month of January, how much yarn got out of my stash, so how much I destashed and how much I have knit up, if the projects are finished. So it's going to be mathy, it's going to be nerdy, it's going to be super satisfying, hopefully, and yeah, I hope you're up for that. So now, let's talk about my stash, finally. If you're not interested, you can definitely leave now, because I have said everything I wanted to say. If I was you, I would not be interested, so I'm definitely not going to be offended if you leave here. But for those that are curious to see my stash, I'm going to show it to you now. So it is divided in 3 boxes currently. 3, yeah, 3.5, 4. So the first box I'm going to show you is kind of the most interesting. It's the one with the full skeins. So this is what it looks like. And as you can see, it's mainly full skeins of yarn, either 50 grams or 100 grams, balls, skeins, yeah, kind of everything. This one is not even full. I'm not sure why it's in this box, but it's a leftover. So as you can see here, I have a sweater, and this is like 6 skeins of DK weight yarn. It's a non-superwash merino, hand-dyed. It's a beautiful yarn, but I never wear this sweater because it doesn't fit me, and I really want to unravel it, but I wasn't, because that would make my stash go up by a big chunk, and I didn't want that, but now it's in the stash. So if I unravel it, the stash will go down. And then I have this top quantity that I've been wanting to cast on since forever, and I keep on having it. Like, I have a little pile next to my computer where I keep the yarn that I'm going to cast on next, and this keeps on ending up on this pile, and I'm about to cast on, and then something comes up, and I don't cast on, and it goes back in this box. And it's been a cycle for a whole year. So hopefully soon, maybe next week, or maybe next month, or maybe next year, I'm going to cast this on. This is a non-superwash merino fingering weight by Woolberry Fiber Company. It's my favorite color, if you know me. It's my favorite hand-dyed color of all time. I'm going to show you a lot more of this color in this box. I have actually quite a lot of summer top quantities like this, because summer knitting is my favorite, so I have a lot of those. So for example, I have those, which are a blend of silk and cotton. I have 4 of them. It's a very, very thin yarn, and it's white, so I would really love to make a summer top, a very wearable summer top in this. However, it's white, so it's going to be see-through. So I'm wondering if I should hold it double, but I'm not sure, because then it's not going to be as summery. So I'm not casting it on because I don't really know what to do with them. I had an idea, but then I realized it would not work, so now it's kind of project-less, which is kind of stressing me out. And this is the only thing I have bought that I'm like, I really didn't need it to buy this. And then I have this that I received by the lovely dyer. So this is Breathing Color Fiber Company, and I bought yarn for another project, and the dyer put this skein in the bag for me, and it's so my color. It's so beautiful, and I know what I'm gonna do with it, which is a summer top. It's really gorgeous. I really love it. And then I also have those, which is, funnily enough, kind of the similar color. So this is a beautiful linen and silk. They have a gorgeous drape, and I really want to make a summer tee, similar shape to this one actually, because that's my favorite kind of tee to wear. This is probably one of my favorite yarn in stash. I'm so excited to cast this on. It's going to be incredible. And then another summer top quantity. So this is the same colorway. It's the colorway Frost, but it's not a non-superwash base. It's actually the fingering weight superwash merino, but it's leftovers from a dress that I knit up. And I thought the dress would use more yarn, but it didn't. So I have a whole skein and a quarter left over. And I'm going to do a summer top because I love this color. But since this one is superwash, it's going to have a lot more drape than the other one. So I think I'm going to do something positive is and a little bit flowy or whatever. I'm not 100% sure yet, but yeah. And this is a leftover that's in the full skein box because this is enough to do a full project. So I'm not counting this as leftover. I have these that are also going to be a summer top. So it's a boucle 100% silk yarn. And I have, it doesn't look like it, but I have 3 skeins. I have 3 50-gram skeins because this is a 50-gram, but here there are 2 50 grams wound together. So I have 150 grams, and this is my next design. So once I finish the design I'm currently knitting on, I'm going to cast this one on, and I'm super excited. And I think it's kind of it in terms of summer top. No, it's not. I still have some yarn for summer top. It's the same base as I showed you for the first one. It's the same base, the non-spun wash merino by also Woolberry, but this colorway is Cloud Forest. I have a second skein somewhere, but I'm not sure where. I think it's at the very bottom, and I don't want to pull the whole box out. I have this because I have bought 5 skeins of Shuri from the same dyer in the same colorway. And I want to hold this double to make a cardigan. But I would like the edges to be not in Shuri because it's going to be too flimsy and unstable and not sturdy enough. So I wanted to hold a real wool yarn double to make the edges of the cardigan. So I had 2 skeins of this. And I think I'm going to use hopefully less than a full skein so that I have 1 skein and something left over. And with that, I can make a summer top. So lots of summer top quantities, but again, that's my favorite type of things to knit, so that's why I have a lot of them. So this is technically a sweater quantity. I mean, sweater, it's going to be for a cardigan, but you get the idea. And it's the only sweater quantity in this box, which just goes to show that I prefer summer knitting to winter knitting, but whatever. And then I have this, which is also a leftover, but I have a lot of it because this is lace weight. It's 100% silk, it's lace weight, and I had 3 skeins of it, so 300 grams. And I knit up sample of my Skitter skirt. I have the swatch here. It's very drapey, it's a beautiful, beautiful yarn. And I used only 1 skein and a little bit. Like, I think I used 120 grams for the whole skirt. So I have a ton of leftovers, so I can definitely do a summer top. And then I have some odd things in there. So I have those 2 that are going to be for socks. It's a wool-free sock yarn. It's Haiku Kobasi. I want to do a pair of colorwork socks with them, and I really hope I can do this soon. But it's also why I want to get my stash down, because I have so many amazing yarns in stash, and I just want to cast them on, but I don't have the time because there are so many things to do. But I'm sure you know the feeling. I have this. I have no idea why I have that. I think I bought it. Oh no, I remember. It's because I'm very sensitive to wools, and usually in my sweaters, if I have the neckline knit in the same yarn as the rest of the sweater, the front neck part is very sensitive for me, and usually even if the sweater is neck to skin soft, this is going to be itchy. Also because I have fitty shoes and usually sweaters come too high on the front for me. So I bought this, which is kind of a random color, and since I knit a lot with blue, as you may have seen, I figured I can hold this double because it's fingering weight. I can hold it double to do the inside of my folded over ribbing necklines because that's what I usually do. So this is kind of an emergency skein, I would say, if I need to use a different yarn for the inside of a collar. But it hasn't happened since I bought it. I haven't made a blue sweater since, so it's just hanging around there, kind of useless, and I'm not even sure I'm going to use it one day. Maybe I'm just going to do socks with it. I don't know. This is sock yarn that I'm going to use to make socks, and then I have some random stuff at the bottom. I have 1 leftover skein here, but it's a leftover skein, and this is rustic yarn. It's a very, very rustic yarn. It's not itchy, but I wouldn't do a hat with it because here it is going to be itchy. But it's a full skein, and I also have a little nugget left. So it's quite a big chunk of yarn. But it's not enough to do something with it, aside from a hat, and I don't want to make a hat. And it's a wool unspun, so I wouldn't do socks or something because it wouldn't be durable enough. And I don't want to make white like mittens or gloves because it's white. So I don't know what to do with it. It's a leftover and it's just hanging out there. And it's in the full skein box because it's full skein. And then we're getting into the very random stuff. At the very bottom, it's yarn. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do with. It's probably going to sit there until I don't know. But I have no idea what to do with. And then I have some drops snow. And I'm going to do a felted basket with it. And then I have this thing. It's Rama Vamps. I have used it to swatch, but it's too itchy. So now I have a skein that I have half knit up in a swatch. No idea what I'm going to do with that, but yeah, it's itchy. Oh, I forgot a summer top. I have this yarn. It's a cashmere blend, cashmere sock yarn by Explorer Knits. I love this color so much, and I'm going to do a summer top. I have this skein. I have swatched with it, but the swatch didn't work out at all, so I have unraveled the swatch, so it's a skein, but I have unraveled the swatch and wound it around, which is why it looks like this, but there is a second swatch here. I have this full skein, but the yarn is itchy, and it's very drapey, so I don't know, I cannot do a summer top because it's itchy, so I think I'm just gonna make socks. But the yarn is drapey. It's supposed to be a sock yarn, but not sure about that. Whatever. It's just sitting at the bottom of my stash and I don't know what to do with it. And the last things is this. I have 2 full balls of Cyrano by De Rerum Natura. Beautiful yarn. It's one of my favorites. And I have bought a ton of them to make a cardigan for my dad. And I had 3 balls left. I mean 2 and 2.8 balls left. So the 0.8 I'm using to do lots of swatching and film tutorials and stuff like that because the yarn is very thick, very round. It's a color that's easy to see, so this ball is getting knit up and unraveled and knit up and unraveled and knit up and unraveled, so it's kind of beat up. But those 2 are perfectly fine. But it's a weird quantity, and I cannot do hat because my forehead is too sensitive, even for this yarn that's very soft, and I really don't like the color. Because this was for my dad, and my dad loved this, but I don't, so no idea what to do with it. So if you want this, 2 skeins of Cyrano by De Rerum Natura, I can send them to you. You just pay for shipping. I ship internationally, so if you want those, drop me an email. My email is in the description box. Yeah, just write to me. Oh, and I also have this one. It's the same as this one. It's a cashmere, 100% cashmere. And I keep it if I want to do the inside of a collar for a sweater, because it's cashmere, so this is not itchy. And that's it for the full skeins. So yeah, I mean the box is almost empty now, but I have a lot of it behind me. But I'm gonna put it back in afterwards. Sorry in advance, editing Maya. And now we can go through, let's go through this one first. So this box is my unspun yarn, and you cannot see anything because I showed you the wrong side. This box is my unspun yarns. So on top of it is resting a blanket. So this is a stash busting blanket, I would say. And I'm using all my leftover plates and sample plates and little plates like this into it to make a blanket. Can I even... yeah, this is what it looks like. I love it. I'm having tons of fun with it, and I had a ball attached and it just fell. And on top of this box I have the next plates I'm going to use into this project, and inside the box I have full plates that are not ready yet to go in this leftover project because I have this. Okay, I cannot take it out, I'm sorry. This thing here, that's a big colorwork blanket project that's been on hold for a year and a half. And I have 3 plates here, 3 full plates, 1, 2, 3, that I'm gonna use to complete this blanket. So it's not leftovers yet, but once those are leftovers, they are gonna go in the big blanket as well. So this is what this box contains. It's already a lot smaller than it was because it used to be a box that was twice as big as this one. So I'm very happy that I managed to get it down to such a small box. And I would like this box to be empty by the end of the year. I really think it's possible because this big colorwork blanket that's here, I'm really not too far from the finishing line. And also, since I'm holding it double for the garter stripe blanket, it goes down pretty fast. It's easy to knit large weights of yarn for this project. So this is a big chunk. And then the last box, I mean, it's not the last one, but this box is my leftovers. So all of those used to be in the full skein box and they have been transferred to here once the project was completed, kind of. There are a few exceptions. So I'm definitely not going to show you the content of this one, but yeah, on top of here I have 2 summer tops that I'm going to unravel because they are too small. And then I have, so this I'm going to show you later. And then I have 2 hats that I'm going to unravel again to do the felted laundry basket that I mentioned. I have this, which is the same cashmere that I just showed you before, which was black, but this one is the burgundy, and I happen to knit a lot more burgundy sweater than black sweaters. So I have used a lot of it to do the inside layer of a double knit, no, not double knit, double folded collars. So this skein is quite smaller now. And then I have random leftovers. This one is pretty funny. It's magic knot ball from an advent calendar that I have knit up granny squares with each mini. And I calculated my granny square so that I would use the most of my yarn so that I would have the least amount of leftover each time. But I still had a little bit. So I have this thing, and I think I'm gonna hold, where is it? I show you this skein of sock yarn. I think I'm gonna hold 1 strand of this white sock yarn and 1 strand of this to make DK weight socks. And I'm gonna do heel, toes and cuffs with this double because I don't have enough yarn otherwise. But I think I have another one of those somewhere, probably in this box. But I can't find it. But I know I have a second one because I had 2 advent calendars that I knit up into granny squares. So yeah, I think I can do 2 socks. And yeah, then it's just a box of leftovers. I tried to sort it in a smart way. So here in the front, you can see those cute little balls. Those are hand-dyed, non-superwash merino, kind of all of them. This is DK weight superwash, but this is sock yarn, self-striping sock yarn. This is wool-free sock yarn that I made a summer top out of. This one is, this is handspun leftover. This is sock yarn that I'm gonna hold double to make DK weight socks. If you hadn't grasped it, I prefer DK weight socks to fingering weight socks. And then, oh, this down here, wait, I'm gonna pull them out because I think I would like to destash those. So a long, long time ago, I was going out with a guy, which is now my ex, and I did knit him a sweater. And I'm glad he's my ex, but whatever. And I had a lot of yarn left over. I'm gonna regret taking this out, but yeah, there is a third one below. So I have like, I think 300 grams of this left over from that sweater because I bought a whole cone, a 1 kilo cone, and I used like 700 grams, even less, 600 grams of it for the sweater. So this is more than 100 grams, it's like 130 grams, and then there is another one down here, and this little thing. It's Donegal Tweed, Kilcarra Donegal Tweed, I think. It's a type of tweed yarn that's pretty common. There are a lot of brands that sell this tweed yarn as their own in-house brand. For example, I know Rosa Pomar, I don't remember the name of the yarn, but the tweed yarn they have in Aran Tweed, it's this one, it's the Donegal Tweed thing. And this colorway is called Crowley or Navy, it depends. And it's a lovely yarn, but it's quite itchy. And I have like 300 grams, so I can't do a summer top with that. And I don't have enough to do a sweater, and it's Aran weight, so I don't want to do like a shawl or a scarf, and also it's quite rustic, so I wouldn't want to do that. And I just don't know what to do with it, but it's a beautiful yarn. I really enjoyed it. Also, it smells a little bit like spinning oil because it came from a cone, so it wasn't washed. So this is washed, and it feels a lot softer, and it's also a lot thicker and plumpier because it bloomed. But yeah, whatever. So if you would like, I don't know exactly how much I have, but like 300 grams or something of this beautiful Donegal Tweed The name is going to be written, I cannot remember exactly what it is. I can give this to you as well, just pay for shipping. And please take this off of me, it's really a gorgeous yarn. And then some leftovers, and I even have a little bit of acrylic yarn and some cotton yarns. And then in this pouch I have yarns that kind of go together, so I'm like, maybe I can do a shawl with it. But yeah, it's all burgundy and dark grey yarns. And then I have this, you probably know where this is coming from, it's boucle for my Patagonia pigs. And then I have the very, very old stash yarns that I bought when I started knitting in 2019, but they're still hanging out down here since then. And yeah, that's my box of leftovers. And it already went down significantly because I have this other box here that I'm going to show. I don't think I have anything interesting to show you here. So I have this last half box, which is technically a box of leftovers. But those are my specifically non-superwash fingering to worsted weight leftovers that I'm knitting up into a blanket, sweatshop blanket. So I have a bit more yarn down here. And my sweatshop blanket is here. It's beautiful. I love it so much. I'm so proud of it. And it's taking ages, but I'm enjoying it so much. So this is why I have taken all my non-superwash yarns out, but they all have to kind of go in the same palette, which is why I have this row that I showed you at the front of the box, and I said they are hand-dyed non-superwash fingering weight yarns. They are either variegated or a color that wouldn't go in this blanket, so I couldn't put them in. So I still have a little bit left in this box, but whatever. This is also something that I was expecting to significantly make a dent in my stash, but I had to buy a lot of the main color, the black color. I mean, I am going to have to buy a lot of this yarn. So in the end, it didn't really make anything to my stash because I had to buy a lot of yarn. But it's okay. And then the last, oh yeah, so I took this out of the leftover box because it's kind of weird. So this is a jute yarn. I don't know how you pronounce that in English. Jute? Jute? And yeah, you get what it is. It's kind of this rough material. And it's very, like, yeah, it's good for homeware or rugs or stuff like that. And I'm doing socks for my chairs. And I have a ton of this because I bought 2 kilos, because first this is very, very heavy. I think 500 grams is 400 meters, so it's super heavy for not a lot of length because it's very rough and thick and dense. And I wanted to do a super big crochet rug, like kind of similar to a doily, those kind of lacy things, but worked up in this type of yarn thread thing. But it didn't work out at all because when you work up a doily, the final shape comes out when you block it and you pin it to extend all the lacy bits so that the lace opens up and it looks great at the end because of the blocking process. But this yarn you cannot block out because once it's wet, it expands kind of, and then the stitches get super, super tight because the yarn is, yeah, I don't know how you say gonflé. And then the fabric becomes super stiff and you cannot manipulate it at all. It's like cardboard, which is super weird because usually when you put a fabric in water, it becomes softer and looser, and then you have to be very delicate with it because it can stretch out. But this is the exact opposite. When you put it in water, it becomes stiffer and denser and impossible to manipulate. So you cannot block it out, which means when you work up something like a doily in a round, it becomes all wavy and it's like you're increasing too fast and there's too much fabric and it doesn't work out and you can't do anything about it because you cannot block it out. So now I have almost 2 kilos of this thing in my stash and I don't know what to do with it. I know I could do like flower pots, how do you say it, cache-pot thing, or yeah, a ton of different stuff. But I have made like doilies are full rounds and I have made a half round. And I could do more of those, but I don't need more. I have one here under my TV that I never use, and I don't need to do another one. So this is a big chunk of my stash. This is, I think I have counted 1.5 kilo. So it's 10% of my stash, and I have no idea what to do with it. But it has been unraveled, so it's not neatly in a cone anymore. It's like a big chunk of noodle yarn because it was unraveled. It was blocked and unraveled. But yeah, if one day I find a project with that, it's gonna put a big dent in my stash. I think that's it. I have talked about my whole stash, so I took you through everything knitting related that I own. And yeah, of course, then I have my works in progress that I didn't show you, but it's just yarn in a half knitted up form. Yeah, that's all the yarn I own. So I hope this was interesting. Again, I'm not a yarn shop, so that's why I didn't explain what every single yarn was. The point of this was just to show you the state of my stash, what the situation is, what I'm trying to get through, what are the pros and cons of what I own, and what are the challenges, all of that, so that you could kind of have an idea of what I'm throwing myself into for 2026. So I hope this was interesting. I hope you got something out of this video. I'm not sure it was very instructive, but at least I hope it was entertaining. So thank you for watching up until here. If you're still here, I hope to see you again for the next video where I'm going to show you what I have knit up in January. And yeah, I think that's it. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your comments. Don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss out on this future video or on any future content I may put out. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for being here. Happy knitting. I love you.